Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most overpowered cash build in Borderlands 4, and this is actually crazy. It destroys bosses like Bloom Reaper here really quickly. The best part about this is we also get infinite ammo, and we can use pretty much any gun in this game, as there's a lot of really powerful ones that fit onto this unique playstyle that Cash has. Now, we'll be focusing mostly on the green and red skill trees. And two main reasons. The red skill tree is going to give us the war wagon here, which gives us infinite ammo. It does pull from our reserves. However, if we use a heavy ordnance, it gives us true infinite ammo. And from the green skill tree, we got the can't stop winning. This gives our critical hits a chance to get us into our windfall, which is exactly what we want because it gives us a ton of boost. But with the green skill tree as well, we got totems here, which can help out when mobbing and against bosses, and they have a variety of different effects. They can also boost our gun damage up to insane numbers with the angry totem here, increasing our gun damage over time, and there isn't a cap to that. We also have a very high critical hit chance with our red skill tree boosting up our action skill. The same thing with our green skill tree here too. And on top of all this, we add bonus random elemental damage on top of our weapons, and this counts onto our bone totems as well. Now, we primarily will be using the green skill tree, but if you're starting from the beginning, the red skill tree is actually very good and the better skill tree of the two of them. Now, we got an option to start here for more critical hit damage or increased fire rate. Increased fire rate just ends up being higher DPS, and this will also work on our action skill as well. Although the critical hit damage is nice, the shootist will give us increased gun damage, which is good, but this is going to give us a critical hit chance with our action skill and gun, 10%, so we want to stand and bleed. We're also going to grab the Devil's Tines here, giving ourselves another enhancement here, or augment here. You can throw the two on here and just use the red skill tree from the start of the game. We do want 1 point into Trick Shot because this is going to apply our War Wagon a little bit easier because any kinetic damage will actually trigger this. So I do have this from a class mod, so that's fine. And then you can then take points into Hot Hand here, which will give us bonus fire damage. The higher our fire rate, the greater the bonus. If you don't want to have the bonus fire damage, you could go with something like the Blur of Fingers and Brass here, which is going to give us increased fire rate and reload speed per stack whenever we gain fortune. And this can put our fire rate up to pretty crazy numbers. After this, it depends if you really like to use heavy ordnance. The truck full of nitro is insane because it adds bonus kinetic damage. So you can use basically whatever you wanted, like a fire ordnance, for example, and it'll proc the war wagon. I'm going to go with the lawless here because I don't like heavy ordnance is amazing, and you don't even have to use this if you want to use heavy ordnance. And lawless is just nice for the 45% boost to kinetic damage, which then takes us to the war wagon. Whenever we deal kinetic damage, we can get a chance to reload 30% of our current mag, and there's a 24% chance. The crazy part is we got multi-projectile weapons. You basically keep, no matter what, you're basically going to get infinite ammo. I also like to then take 2 points into the Pale Rider here. This gives our action skill bonus kinetic damage, which is really nice. And then we can take Nothing Beats Lead. This is a really powerful skill, but you can delay it to a little bit later. It takes your elemental damage and converts it back into kinetic damage and then boosts it up even higher. It's actually pretty crazy, but I like to go into the green skill tree at this point. You can go with the Luck Be a Robot to give yourself increased action skill cooldown rate, or you can go with increased skill damage. Now, skill damage is a little bit different from action skill damage. And actually, unfortunately, we don't have anything else that will proc off of that, but it's going to increase our amount of damage that we deal from our little bone totems there, and they actually do a decent bit of damage. And this will also increase it per bone totem that we have. You can go with the Luck Be a Robot if you prefer, but afterwards, we're going to go with the Red Moon Rising. This is going to give ourselves bonus fire damage with guns and action skills. And this applies to our action skills, so they can burn down red health bars a little bit quicker. We'll also then grab another Devil's Tines, and you can keep it with just these two at the current moment. We're going to be working our way down to taking a few different one of these. And afterwards, it's nice to then go with an increased duration on Windfall. There is the Bone Meal Ticket, which is going to give yourselves increased action skill duration. And this can be nice with the Angry Totem that you can get from here, which increases your gun damage by 10% per second, because that's going to make them last a little bit longer. Windfall is just so beneficial that you could go with the increase to it, but we don't have any problem getting in and out of Windfall, so alternatively, you can go back and take Luck Be a Robot or go it before she knows you're dead there. I like to have the Windfall, but we have no problem with getting in and out of it once we grab Can't Stop Winning, so the choice is entirely yours. If you want to go with the increased duration, or if you want to be able to get your action skill back a little quicker, or if you want to have extra movement speed. I'm going to go with the Wet Riding High here, only 4 points. We don't need any more than that to be able to unlock the next level, and Can't Stop Winning is the first skill we're going to throw points into it. I'd actually recommend just maxing this out. 1 point into Turn of Faith is nice. This is going to give us life steal, and if our health is full, we get Overshield Steal instead. Since we're going to be in Windfall so often, getting Overshield Steal is insane with things like the Watts for Dinner, with like the amp boost. After that, we'll take Fortune's Favor. Cash deals increased gun damage and skill damage the more full his health and Overshield are. So we're going to take 3 points of that for the 39% skill damage and 30% gun damage. Now, It is nice to get high stakes for increased reload speed. We're going to grab increased critical hit chance and put the last point into Turn of Fate there. And this will take us to our augments, which we'll get to in a minute. But the wilds, this is really nice. When we're in Windfall, Cash and his companions deal bonus elemental damage 30%. This is pretty solid. It's going to be random, so you can't guarantee you're going to get something perfect, but it's nice. And we have 4 points left. You can put more into Turn of Fate if you want to get yourself more survivability. Let it ride. Whenever we lose a fortune stack, we get increased gun damage. That can be okay if you're using if you use something like the Hot Slugger, that's actually very good. But we can go back to the red skill tree and then throw those points into Nothing Beats Lead, which converts our elemental damage into kinetic damage and then boost it up even further. This is just going to be a fat boost to our DPS, so we may as well grab that. And it's going to grab our elemental damages and convert those as well. Now, Accursed Bones is another one. If you don't have a class mod that's giving you this is a really good skill to put at least 1 point into, because whenever we deal action skill damage to an enemy, they become jinxed. And then we get lifesteal against jinxed enemies, which is great because we already have a bit of lifesteal. But we also will deal 20% more damage to them, and they deal 30% less damage for 12 seconds. It's really good. Once the level cap increases, taking Torment would be a solid option. But now we're looking at our augments. So I would like always have the Commotions 11 once we grab it. This gives us bonus damage in our gun's current element here, so it's going to be a fat booster DPS. And this is nice because it creates a effigy totem, so whenever you do a status onto an enemy, it's going to make this deal extra damage and shoot off eldritch bullets at them. Now, grabbing the Threes Company will give you increased windfall duration. The Mighty Nine will let you get back up for once for free if you end up going down, and it's actually a pretty useful skill to grab. 5 is Alive will give you an additional Claromancy charge, which is pretty solid. And the Heavenly Sevens is nice. This creates a Protector, which can give you Overshield, and it also gives you increased duration. So there's a few really nice ones. Threes Company is cool because if you roll the threes, you end up getting a free Claromancy charge, so you get a free Bone Totem. So that one's nice. I like to go with the 5 is Alive, Threes Company, and Commotions 11 here. There is some merit in using some of the other ones here too, like the Chaos Totem from Dirty Dozen can give you cards from the blue skill tree, so you can get a little bit of everything, and it throws the cards automatically at enemies. It's pretty fun, but I think that these three here work best. And as we looked at class mods, there's a lot of really good ones. I've been farming. I farmed it. I did a video breaking down every single new class mod for Cashier. The Ludopath is the one that makes the most sense here because this gives you increased fire rate and movement speed. 36 max stacks you can get, and it takes the number that you roll from your dice. So if you roll 10, 12, and 12, you're going to get your 34, I guess. If you roll 12, 12, 12, you get 36, and that's the max stacks, last for 12 seconds. It's good, but it's not as good as the gamer class mod, which is insane. This one here, I have a pretty solid roll in it. It has a few skills that we want. This also boosts fire rate and critical hit damage I got on this one. But the reason we want it is it gives a Cursed Bones there, which is going to jinx the enemy. It gives us the Trick Shot, which triggers our War Wagon. And they got 5 points into the Tender Hearts, which increases our critical hit damage. And when Windfall is active, we get a chance to critically hit with our action skill. So that is pretty nice. The Whale class one's pretty interesting. It's best used for the blue skill tree, however, and you could even go with something like the Hooligan if you wanted to use heavy ordnance, as this is meant to be an ordnance style build, but I think the gamer is just by far the best choice, so we'll roll with that. Now shields, the best shield in the game is going to be the Watch for Dinner, so you can use other things though if you want something a little different, like the Super Soldier shield's pretty solid. There's a new Elpis Star, which is funny. You can use the mantra and it's going to create meteor clusters, although the damage is nothing good. When we have a 25% bonus shock damage from Watch for Dinner, or 40% from the Protean Cell. Cinder Shelly's also an alright choice, and if you're mobbing, use the Fireworks. It's just going to be your best choice. Now for our enhancement, I like to go with the Tor guns. There's a new one, Scoot and Shoot, and even the Shalashaska is the weapon from the previous DLC, which is insane, especially if you can get the Torg increased damage radius and increased damage with the head ringer there. Yeah, that becomes crazy. Both Torg pistols are insane, so if you can get this crazy roll on it with a pistol damage increase, that would be the best. However, you can go with the Bounce Past Jacobs one. This is obviously another very powerful one, and being able to bounce an additional ricochet off on enemies is super useful for the DPS boost. And even the Quicksilver, if you want to use the Golden God, that can be pretty crazy too. Now for our ordnance, the Adlin gun, it's popping up there. Heimdall is what we wanted. Heimdall is the best heavy ordnance in the game right now. It shoots out little doll heads that just shoot at targets. It's crazy. There's also the Atling gun as mentioned, which is pretty crazy. We can go with the Tongue Wag. I really like the Tongue Wag, but where is it? The Rocket Socket. I don't know where it is. The Rocket Socket is a crazy one too. I have a ton of Heimdalls because they're so good. The new Icar is all right, but it's really Heimdall or if you're mobbing, use the Disc Jockey. Those are two of the best choices. They're very powerful. And for our Repkit, triple bypass with the movement speed increase I find to be really fun. There is new ones from the DLC. They aren't that great. You could go the triple bypass with the fire rate increase as well. It's really nice because the more we shoot, the faster things go down. And I guess I need to use this one here for the high caliber. But for our firmware, high caliber, bullets will pierce enemies is crazy when we have things that just do so much insane damage. We already have a gun that does pierce naturally, but being able to pierce with ricocheting pellets is super crazy. 2 Deadeye would be the other choice, or you could go 3 Deadeye and 2 high caliber just to max out our damage here. Now for our weapons, I'm going to go over, obviously if you have cash, you're going to be using the new DLC, so you're likely going to be able to get things like the Crow Sourced and the Heimdall. I really like the Crow Sourced, however, if you have to look for one that has like the 10.5 second fire rate there, so you can see it right beside the ammunition count, that's going to be the fastest firing version of this gun. Otherwise, it's not really worth it. The Dark Beast, however, this one's crazy because it's going to have piercing bullets and it can create explosions that do a bit of damage there, and this will destroy crystals like Bloom Reaper, as you saw there. This also works well with the and I'm going to try to pronounce that, but the mantra with the Ripper and Jacob's parts in particular, because when you use this gun, it counts as splash damage, but this also counts as melee damage, so it will benefit from using certain specializations that take your gun damage and add it to your melee damage, making it double dip. The Scoot and Shoot is probably the best gun right now in the game, especially for cash. It is nuts, actually pretty crazy. The Rooker is also pretty cool. It doesn't really fit on this build. There's an underbarrel build that kind of crashes people's games, but the new Flash Cyclone is also a very solid weapon. It has flash freeze, chance on hit to explode and spawn additional projectiles, and it's pretty solid on cash. I'm also a huge fan of the Crazed Earl. I farmed a ton of them. If you can find one to the 27k DPS, I like the Corrosive Override here, and Jacob and Ripper's parts, which come pretty commonly on it, are pretty solid. Golden God 2 is good if you can find it with the Jacob's parts. I just wasn't able to find that there. The Roulette is really crazy, honestly, and this gun fits very well with cash because you reload it, you get a random buff. If you get the 7, you get all the buffs, so it's really nice. Shalashaska, as mentioned, is a very solid weapon. You even go with like Wombo Combo, the Bod, Chaosin. All the previous strongest weapons in the game work very well in cash. If you have other favorites from other Vault Hunters, they work great. And I'm a big fan, again, of the Crow Swords. It's kind of underrated, especially if you can get that fast fire rate that has a little bit less DPS, but it shoots fast. And our specializations. Now, if we're going to use the mantra, you got to use Bear Arms, as that's a huge boost to the DPS, taking 50% of the gun damage increases, adding them to melee. The mantra is funny because then it'll take 1.5 times your gun damage increases. So if you have 100% boost to your gun damage, it actually becomes 1.5, so 150%. It's insane. We also got the I'm a Gun, which will put our gun damage onto our action skill too, so our bone totems can do some respectable damage. This also pairs well with Riddle You This, giving ourselves 60% gun damage, so 25% on our action skill as well. And the Honed Mind, which gives our critical hit chance increase to our action skill there, and it boosts the damage that it'll deal. So the bone totems aren't going to be like one-shotting anything, but getting increased damage on them is nice. Groundbreaker also works decently well here, as cash actually can store that up pretty quickly. And Bullet Train fits this as well, because it gives increased gun damage when walking, and we're meant to be moving around often. Now, to see what this looks like in combat, we want to go throw our bone totems out as soon as possible. You can get your different types of totems off. We're able to enter our windfall here. I'm using the Crow Source. That's the weapon that I currently have. And you can see there, it melts actually really quick. And here we're going to throw our bone totems. The nice thing about the totems is you can throw them and you can still shoot. This gun is down in a very ideal position here, but yeah, you can see we're doing like really good damage. And we got a bunch of the totems out because we were able to roll a lightning totem. So yeah, we actually got multiple totems at a time. And here's what the heavy ordnance setup looks like. So I'm using the Heimdall. You gotta be careful though, because your ordnance has to replenish its ammo. So sometimes it does take a second here, but look at all these turrets shooting at this boss, just melting its health bar really fast. And we were in windfall there that entire time, so that was great. And with the roulette here, the roulette just does so insane damage, especially since we got that infinite ammo, so you can fire this thing off. That wasn't even fully buffed up, but yeah. It's pretty clear this build just destroys Borderlands 4's bosses in Ultimate Vault Hunter 6, and it's fun to play. It doesn't require any crazy setup. You can use your favorite guns with this, so that is a very overpowered Ultimate Vault Hunter 6 build for cash in Borderlands 4. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and I hope you guys all have an incredible day.